Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and I make videos about books, writing and every random thing living rent-free in my neurodivergent brain. This is the fourth video in my Write for Life channel. Basically, I am doing the Write for Life program from Julia Cameron. This is very similar to The Artist Way, which is a famous creativity enhancing program by the same author. This version is for writers specifically and it's only 6 weeks long. I already completed week 1, 2, 3 and I have separate videos for this. I will link them somewhere. And this video is about week 4 and 5. Basically after week 3, I haven't felt very compelled to pick up the camera. Initially, I wanted to vlog the whole process of doing that program, so the full 6 weeks, but vlogging is actually a lot of work and I'm still new to YouTube, so I'm figuring things out, but I think just vlogging 6 weeks in a row was just not realistic. So I was a bit in a filming slump the past 2 weeks. I still continued with the program, but I don't have that much footage, so I will gather my thoughts in this video now. I have a lot of them. They're not necessarily super organized, so I hope you'll bear with me. I have some notes on my laptop in front of me, so apologies if I'm looking down. And I will try to make it as organized as I can. Usually at the end of each week of the program, there is a check-in with similar questions, so I think I will use that as a framework. The first point in the check-in is about the morning pages. So I've been doing my morning pages every day for the past 2 weeks with some ups and downs. So I have days where I have a lot to talk about, I have interesting thoughts and reflections and I'm excited about what I'm writing about, and then other days they're a bit of a drag. I don't really feel motivated, I don't have much to talk about and I have to force myself to go through and write the full 3 pages. So those days are a bit painful, but I still push through them. I don't know long term if I would still keep going to that rhythm. The question is, can you get to the good part without the bad part? And that's the part I'm unsure about. Between doing The Artist Way and starting this program, I stopped doing the morning pages every day and I was just journaling when I felt like it, when I had something to say. That was working pretty well for me. I was still journaling when I had things I wanted to reflect on. I was still journaling a lot less than I'm doing now with the morning pages though, which I think is fine, but it's finding that balance. Like, I worry that not having that regular practice, I might just end up falling off of it completely, and that's not something that I want. So after I finish the program, I will need to find the right balance. I've also been using my morning pages to do some of the exercises that come along the book each week. I have to say most of them, if not almost all of them, don't really work for me. I find them a bit artificial, and I was talking with a friend who is also neurodivergent, and I'm wondering if there is a connection there between the format of the exercises and neurodivergence, if maybe there is something there that just doesn't work, doesn't connect. I think it's also like very individual. It probably works for some people with forms of neurodivergence, but for me and my friend who have 2 different forms of neurodivergence, it just didn't work for us. So I wonder if there's something there. Write 3 fears you have about your project. Write 5 limiting beliefs you have about writers. That kind of things, where you are asked to basically write a list of fears, of blocks, and suddenly that will unlock something in you, I guess. That's kind of the expectation, and that just doesn't work for me. Speaking with my friend, we were talking about how either we are already aware of that, what the problem is, what the fear is, what the block or the obstacle is, and so it's not really helpful for us. Or on the flip side, if we don't know the problem, if we haven't identified it, if we haven't done the soul searching part already and figured out what is the core issue, then it's probably gonna require more work than just like writing a list of 3 or 5 fears. Either it's not useful because we already know what the problem is, or it's not helpful because it's just too simplistic and not realistically going to help us. I don't know if it can be generalized more than that, but that was a common feeling that we had. Another problem I'm having with the morning pages more specifically is that they do take a lot of time for me to get through, and one reason for that is I tend to daydream in between my writing. So I will write a paragraph and then start thinking about something for 10 minutes and then, oh, I need to write, and go back to it, and then an hour has passed and I still haven't finished. It doesn't happen that often because I try to keep myself on track, and usually I do them before work, so I need to get to work at one point. But the reality is that my handwriting can't keep up with the speed of my thoughts. So it's easier for me to think and not write because my thinking is going faster than my hand. But the point of the morning pages is to have that kind of stream of consciousness writing. And so when I try to do that, the problem that I have is that I need to slow down my brain. I basically need to get my thoughts to a slower rhythm so that I'm able to write them down on the page. I'm basically repeating the same thoughts in my head as if I'm dictating to myself, which is a bit annoying. And to be honest, the other day when I was reflecting on that process and making it more conscious, like realizing what was going on. So the fact that I had to slow down my brain and do that consciously, it felt like a restraint. It was very uncomfortable. To be honest, it almost felt painful physically. And that, I think, might be a manifestation of my form of neurodiversity. I don't know if I'm just a big weirdo or if other people feel that way. Yeah, it's just hard for me to slow down my thinking to the point that I can. Or I need to write really, really fast, and I'm struggling with that. And it's also like, it gets painful after a few minutes, like I get cramps in my hand. But yeah, just having to force myself to really slow down my thinking, do that consciously, hold my thoughts back, that's almost physically painful. So that's kind of a problem. So I don't have a solution for that. If there are other neurodivergent people watching, do you experience something similar, or am I the only one struggling with this? Okay, trying to be a bit positive. Something that was nice was that week 4 started on a Monday, which was the 1st of April. So it was a new week, a new month, and also I started a new notebook. I decided to go with this one, which felt beautiful, like kind of springy vibe. So I'm really excited to be writing in this notebook. I think it's just gorgeous. So I was starting a new notebook on a new week, a new month. That felt very great, like very clean slatey time, and I really enjoy that. And in 2 weeks I've already made a good dent in that notebook, so I'm glad I ordered more than one because I feel like I'm gonna go through it quite quickly. The second part of the check-in is about artist days and whether I've been taking them, if I've been enjoying them, all of that. During week 4, I noticed a pattern that I have, which is to productivize. I don't know if that's a word, just like make my free time productive, or trying to make my free time productive. One thing I do, for example, is create a to-do list for my weekend, and so that will include all the chores that I have to do as an adult and kind of have to deal with. But I will also put the fun stuff in there because I don't want all my time to go to the chores. I want to make sure I also make time for the fun stuff. But then it turns into something I need to check off of my to-do list, which isn't great. And I've been struggling a little bit with that. I don't have a real solution, but I've been trying to think about it and find ways to make sure that I have proper rest and that I don't manage all of my time, even during my free time. Thinking about that during week 4, I tried to make sure I had one day where I could just do things I wanted to do, not stress about how much time do I have, what do I need to get done, and just fully rest. That was actually very helpful and really helped me relax and chill and rest, which I need to get better at. So during that day, I did my morning pages, I did my daily quota, which are like the 2 things I still wanted to get done and kind of half committed to do. But on top of that, I played the piano a little bit, which I haven't done in a very long time. That was really nice. I did some painting, I did some pottery, and then I watched a bunch of reality TV. So it was a good mix of just like creative stuff, things I felt like kind of high value, and then kind of the guilty pleasure of just like watching some TV, which is just like totally legitimate, but it's just that I wouldn't want to be spending my whole day doing that. And so I had a nice balance. I was very happy about my day, and I felt relaxed and refreshed after it. For week 5, on Saturday, I just had the best artist date, and I'm so happy about it. I just had the best time. Basically, my local library currently has a whole program about Ghibli studios and movies. So they had a whole local orchestra come in and play some anime movies music in the library, and that was amazing. I can insert some footage here. This concert was fantastic. I had chills, I had teary eyes, I just loved it so much, and it just reminded me of how much I love music and I want to bring in more music into my life. So I've been dabbling a little bit with like piano and stuff like that. I want to go to more concerts, and yeah, I just had the best time. It was amazing. It was truly fantastic, and I'm so glad, and I had the best time, and it was really like refilling my creative well, and yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, artist dates have been going well in the past 2 weeks. The interesting thing is that I haven't really been actively thinking about them as artist date, like that kind of language is not really crossing my mind. I mean, in a way it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it's a good thing because it has happened naturally, so that's really nice. I'm doing more things that are positive for me and bringing me kind of creative fulfillment and giving me energy, but at the same time I'm not doing it in a fully conscious way. And so my worry is that I might as easily fall out of that habit and that practice. So I want to be intentional about it, and if possible build even more onto what I've been doing. The third part of the check-in is about the weekly walks. So in this program, Julia Cameron asks you to take 2 walks a week of at least 20 minutes. You go by yourself, you don't listen to anything, like no music, no podcast, not that kind of things. I've been struggling to get my walks in for a few weeks. Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality, that's just how it is. And so acknowledging this, I've been trying to find alternative or other ways. I've tried to replace one of those walks with a time where I'm just like meditating or daydreaming, kind of trying to get the same benefits, but that I can do from my home. I did that a little bit in the beginning. Week 5, I have to admit, I have not done it, and I have not really been doing my walks either. So yeah, this part is not going great. I'm not exactly sure why, but maybe it's just like, also I've been having quite a tough week this week, so I can give myself a bit of grace, and I've been doing well on the other front, so I think that's fine. The 4th and final part of the check-in is about the daily quota. In the Write for Life program, Julia Cameron asks you to set yourself a daily quota and go about and do that. Just like every day, write that amount. So she recommends 2 pages. For me, I've set it at 250 words. Week 4, I've been doing my daily quota every day. I have to say that a lot of time it's been a struggle because I was writing late in the day, and so I was tired. I didn't want to get to writing. It's been a recurring issue throughout the weeks, and it's still not solved. I'm still doing it. I think I'm not doing myself a favor because I've been going to bed late. In the beginning of the program, I was going to bed early because I wanted to do my morning pages and my daily quota before work. That has slipped a little bit. So I'm still able to do my morning pages, but I've not been able to do my daily quota. And again, I'm not making myself a favor because I'm tired, and it's just making things harder. So for like the past couple of days, I've been trying to go to bed earlier. Week 5, I have been having the same problem, but also I've had a very tough week at work. It's been very stressful, very intense, and I'm not massively happy about it, but I feel like I've overextended myself. And so now I feel like I need to get some rest to balance that. Also knowing that next week and the week after that are going to be quite intense as well. So that means that on Friday, Saturday, and today's Sunday, I didn't write, and I'm not planning on writing today either. I'm taking a bit of a break. It's interesting because in this week's chapter, Julia Cameron has a short essay about taking breaks. And I do have a bit of a gripe with her essays because I think they're very superficial, and they're just like her talking about the weather and going on a walk with a dog, and then like a very simplistic anecdote about something that happened. So for taking breaks, she just says that one day she felt like she was creatively tired, and so she took a break, did a bunch of artist days, then felt better, got back to writing, finished the book, sold the book, all is well in the world. That's right, but that felt a bit simplistic, especially after her telling us to write every day. When I read that at the beginning of the week, I was a bit frustrated because I wanted to get some guidance about how to distinguish between when you need to push through and when you need a break. And at the beginning of the week, when I was reading that chapter, I didn't know. I had been pushing through a lot, and I didn't know if I should take a break. Now, having a bit more distance from it, and having had the week that I've had, I think I have a better understanding of when you need to push through and when you need to take a break, at least for me. Basically, when I don't want to write because of my bad planning and because I went to bed too late and stuff like that, things that are entirely my fault and that I have control of changing and doing better, I think I need to push through because I brought it upon myself and I can do better. So I want to hold myself accountable and do the things that I've committed to do. On the other hand, this week, again, I mentioned I had a tough week at work. I've overextended myself and I've depleted my energy. It means that I don't have enough energy left to put into my writing. As much as I hate that, I need to prioritize my health and my well-being, and so that means that I'm prioritizing rest and taking just a few days off of writing. That should remain an exception. I don't want to make that break too long either because I don't want to fall off of the habit of writing every day, but that is a way for me to take care of myself and doing that in a conscious way. So that was an interesting lesson for me to learn, and I think it's also a pattern with the Write for Life book. I've been a bit frustrating with the chapters because, again, I think they tend to be very superficial. They give you crumbs about a topic, but she's not going into any depth about it. And so I think you need to be the one doing the work. Like, she's giving you a topic to think about. You need to be the one thinking about it more in depth, seeing how it applies to yourself, to your situation, to your life, and extract the lessons for yourself. And so obviously you're not going to do that for every essay in each chapter, because like there's a bunch of them, and not all topics will be relevant when you're reading the book or when you're in the week you're at that moment. But for the things that do resonate, I think if you want to get the most value out of this book, you need to take the time to think about those topics. So you can do that in your morning pages. I think that's the perfect place to do it, and having that self-reflection, using basically those as journaling prompt to spark your thinking. Otherwise, it's a bit general and too surface level to be really helpful, to be honest. But yeah, for me, in the past few days, writing felt more like a chore rather than something I enjoy. And I don't want writing to be a chore. Like, no one's forcing me to write. No one is asking for me to put out a book or anything. No one's waiting for it. If I'm making myself do it, I need to have fun in the making. And obviously not every day is going to be easy. Not every day the words are going to be flowing and I'm going to have fun. But I don't want writing to become a chore. So that's also when that started a little alarm bell in my head, and having to think about, okay, what's going on here? The thing is, I don't think the writing itself was really the problem. The problem was with my work and being a bit too intense this week and having that impact on my writing. So it's also a good signal for me to keep my mental health in check. Like, if I start resenting writing, there's something that I need to pay attention there. So that's a useful symptom as well for me to pay attention to. Okay, so those were the main parts about the check-in. I still have a few things and thoughts that I want to talk about, so I'm just gonna talk about them in a bit of a random order. So one of the tasks for week 5 was to do a media diet. And so basically the idea is that you don't consume any media, no social media, no YouTube, no Netflix, and more than anything, no reading. And that's really tough. Julia Cameron says herself that it's her most resisted tool in the toolbox and in the program, but that's also one of the most powerful ones. And usually the people who resist it the most are the ones who get the most out of it as well. I tried to do the media diet. I was not excited about it, especially the writing part, like the kind of digital detox thing I can get on board with. But I'm a bit in a reading slump. I want to read more, not less. So I was not excited about this reading diet thing, but I tried. I really tried. I really did my best at the beginning of the week, even though I was not excited. But as I said, I've been having quite a tough week. Work was stressful, also got my period, which was, as always, a bit painful and unpleasant. And so it kind of took all of my willpower, and I quickly gave in and gave up on the whole experience. So I think I lasted 2 days, and even those 2 days I was not perfect, but quickly after that I just stopped because that was asking too much of myself. So I might try again later at the time when things are a bit easier and I have a bit more energy to focus on restraints and self-discipline. The thing that's really annoying me is that I did end up giving in the social media, the YouTube and all of that, but I didn't do any reading. So I still did like the reading diet, which is the one I didn't want to do. So that was a failed experiment, and I'm hoping to do better next time. The other side of that task is that in parallel of doing the media diet, you're also supposed to treat yourself like a precious object. And so you're supposed to treat yourself every day. And same, like I did that even like unconsciously in the beginning of the week, like doing nice things for myself, like taking a quick nap or making no, not making lice, making a nice little snack platter for myself and things like that. But yeah, again, quickly I fell off it. Like I was not doing it in a intentional manner, so I just forgot after a couple of days, which is a bit sad. Like I would want to take care of myself and treat myself a bit more regularly. Yeah, I think that's a nice exercise, and that's something I can easily get on board with. finally, one of the last points I wanted to talk about is an essay that is in week 5, which is about hitting the wall, and how usually around 2/3 of a project, that's when you start to get discouraged or have doubt and things get difficult. It was, again, interesting timing because very much this week I've been struggling, even though not necessarily due to my writing project, but external circumstances. But yeah, I've been, again, struggling, not writing for a few days and things like that. So very much feeling like I was hitting a wall. And so one of the tasks is to recommit to the tools of the program. So recommit to the morning pages, the artist dates, the walks, and the daily quota, which I think is good timing and which I am wanting to do. So next week is supposed to be week 6, the last week of the program, but I will be traveling for work the whole week. And so I know from experience that I will have very little time, very little energy for anything else than work. And so kind of the lessons I took from doing a little break now with my writing, one thing that I was thinking is like, you can not do the daily quota at all, but you could also be fine with not hitting 250 words, like not hitting the daily quota and just doing less if really it's too hard to get to that goal. And so I think knowing that my upcoming week is gonna be, again, quite intense, I think I'm gonna be giving myself the flexibility of doing less. So if I don't do 3 pages of freehand writing in the morning, I only do 1, that's gonna be fine. If I do only 50 words on my project instead of 250, that's fine. I think for that week, knowing that the bar is lower just because of circumstances is gonna be helpful. Knowing that my official last week is gonna be that difficult, I think I'm gonna maybe extend 1 more week to do week 6 properly and be fully present and have a bit more time to do the things fully and to the level that I want to be doing them. Going back to that essay about hitting the wall, Julia Cameron says that the way past this is not going over the wall, which would be like trying to convince ourselves that our doubt is unfounded and saying like, yes, this idea is amazing, yes, this is gonna work out, but rather go underneath the wall. And for her, it means giving ourselves permission to write badly. And I quite like that. Interestingly, it's been something that I've done in the past couple of weeks, I think, not knowing that it was one of the tools that she was going to give. But when I was having doubt about my project, I was going through it by telling myself that I was learning. Maybe this isn't the book that's going to get published, but I need to get through this book to get to the book that will get published. So trying to have that resilient mindset basically has been very helpful. All right, that was a lot of thoughts for the past 2 weeks. I hope some of it was interesting or helpful or useful to you. As always, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.